In this video, I'm going to be vibe coding with the newly released MINIMAX M3, which dropped just last night from MINIMAX. This model is a multimodal foundation model from MINIMAX. It supports text, image, and video inputs, which is huge. It also comes with a 1 million context window, which is much larger than the previous generation. MINIMAX M2.7 only had a context window of 205,000 tokens. Now with MINIMAX M3, this does come at a pretty substantial price increase for MINIMAX. If you look at MINIMAX M2.7, it was 26 cents for input, $1.20 per million for the output. But with MINIMAX M3, they're currently discounting it 50% off, but the 50% off price is actually the same price essentially as MINIMAX M2.7, which means that this is actually a 100% increase in price as soon as this 50% off goes away. But with that being said, I am running this through BridgeBench right now. The results are about to be ready and we'll review them at the end of the video. I am going to be testing this in OpenCode today, and one thing to note is that MINIMAX M3 is actually free inside of OpenCode. If you look at this, OpenCode Zen is actually giving this up for free right now. We'll see what the rate limits for this actually look like in this video, because I do have this OpenCode agent set to the free version, but then these I'm just connected via OpenRouter. But I am curious to see how much usage you can actually get out of the free version in OpenCode. But I am going to be putting this through my real vibe coding workflow. We're going to test the output. We're going to see how fast it is. But with that being said, I do have a like goal of 300 likes on this video. So if you haven't already liked the video, make sure you do so. The first thing I want to take a look at is the benchmark. So on SWE-Bench Pro, they are actually saying that M3 is better than GPT 5.5, at least on SWE-Bench Pro. Now that is a contaminated benchmark that these models are training on, but it is a reference point. Hey, it is getting 59 on SWE-Bench Pro, so it does well there. It also does well in the Terminal Bench 2.1 benchmark. It's literally right there with Opus 4.7. And then in this Vibe V2 benchmark, which is a vibe coding benchmark that they made, it scores a 50.1, which is again right up there with GPT 5.5. Now, I like to look at the previous generation model, look at the differences between MINIMAX M2.7 and MINIMAX M3, at least on coding benchmarks. The biggest jump that we see is on the Terminal Bench 2.1 benchmark. So it jumped about 15 points on this benchmark, which is a very big jump. But on SWE-Bench Verified, what you're going to see is that it doesn't perform very well on SWE-Bench Verified. Look at this. It literally only jumped 0.6. And then on SWE-Bench Pro, again, it didn't jump that much. It only jumped 2.8. So in terms of comparing MINIMAX M2.7 to MINIMAX M3, we're not seeing like this massive leap. All right, the first thing I want to do is test it out with that first-person shooter test. So let's just do this. I need you to create a single HTML file that is a first-person shooter game where I am able to navigate a map and defeat enemies with an AR-15 and an RPG. Output this in a single HTML file called FPS game. Okay, so we're going to do an FPS game real quick. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to create a Remotion video. So I need you to create a Remotion video for the launch of Vibe Academy. Note that we should follow the same themes and designs and copywriting that is outputted inside of the website. Do a complete in-depth review and then create the Remotion video respectively. And just as a reminder, so the MINIMAX M3 that you see running here, this is the one that's running through OpenCode. So this is the free version, right? So we could experience some rate limiting there, but I do want to test this out just for anybody that's interested in, hey, how much usage am I going to get via this free version inside of OpenCode? I think that's going to help you guys out quite a bit. I now want to test M3 on a production feature in BridgeVoice. So users have been asking for a setting that allows it to make it so that this widget pill that you see here can be hidden by default, and then they can toggle a setting so that it basically then shows once they're speaking. So if you guys look at this BridgeVoice widget pill here, it shows constantly. Now you can adjust the widget pill so that it just shows, for example, like the BridgeMind logo. So you can make it smaller like this, and then I can put it up here. But we want a setting so that this is just hidden by default. So let's now go in here and say, I want you to do an in-depth review of BridgeVoice, and note that users are requesting a feature and a setting to make it so that BridgeVoice is hidden by default until it is toggled on. So right now, the BridgeVoice widget pill is always displaying when you want to use BridgeVoice, but we should allow users to be able to toggle a setting that makes it so that it is not shown on the screen by default, and then when they do push to talk and they're talking into it, it then does show on the screen. Review this and build a structured plan to build this feature respectively. So we're going to give it that feature, and then I also want to build a feature where, for example, when I do toggle on BridgeVoice, it would be really cool if it had like a little bit of an effect. Like right now when you toggle on BridgeVoice, there's no little sound effect or anything like that, but I do want to build that. So let's now CD over into BridgeMind. In BridgeVoice, when a user pushes to talk, I want there to be a sound effect when BridgeVoice starts recording, and then I want there to be a sound effect when it finishes recording. So basically a toggle on sound effect and then a toggle off sound effect. Review this and build this into BridgeVoice. One thing I want to draw your guys' attention to is that these agents are already working quite a bit. This one has spent 110,000 tokens here. This one has spent 115,000 tokens. But look at the free version here. So it did just output a 2,197 line HTML file. It spent 43,000 tokens. And I didn't run into rate limits that were that bad. Remember that this is free. Here is the game that it created called Arena Ops. So let's deploy and let's test it out. So right away, one thing that I want you guys to notice is that I'm like kind of glitching into the floor. Like just like watch this. Do you guys see how I'm like just jumping up in the air and then I don't know if I'm falling or what's even going on. Also, the graphics for this gun are not good. If you guys, I don't even know what that is. Do you guys see this gun that I'm holding? It's kind of just, it just looks weird. Let's get one guy here. The effects on the shooting are actually pretty good, but this is a completely different output than things that we're getting from Frontier Labs. Let's try the RPG. So there's the RPG, but there are just these weird animations and issues that we're having with these Chinese models. And if you look at this, this is pretty normal for Chinese models, I feel like, just where I'm randomly glitching into the floor, right? There's no explanation of why that's happening, right? I'm just kind of going up, down, up, down, up, down. And this pretty much makes the game not playable. Now let's see if we can do a follow-up prompt and fix this. I think that this is actually a really good opportunity for us to use that video input. So as you guys know, one differentiating factor of this model is the video input. So let's see if we can drop videos into OpenCode and make it so that it actually sees this issue. So I'm recording a 5 to 10 second video right now, just so that MINIMAX can see what the issue is, and then we'll see if it's able to recognize this issue. So let's now go back over to OpenCode here and let's drop in this video and let's see if it can actually watch this video. Okay, so this is not able to ingest video. You can see I don't have a way to ingest video directly. The read tool only supports images and PDFs. Now, this is probably a limiting factor of OpenCode. I'm assuming that if you were on MINIMAX's official website and dropped an MP4 video into their chat, it would probably be able to process that, but I want to be able to use this tool when I'm actually coding. I don't want to have to go to their website and paste it in and then get a handoff prompt and paste it back into OpenCode. I want to be able to actually use it natively. The Remotion video did just finish, so let's let this play and see what it created. I spent 134,000 tokens creating this video. Look at this G. Do you guys see how this is cut off? And then what's going on? Okay, so there's just nothing. It's just completely blank here for a couple of seconds. I don't know if that's going to be good for user engagement, but okay, a couple rectangles flashed on the screen. Okay, now this is just blank. Okay, this is terrible. Hey, this is just one example, but this is what we continue to see time and time again from Chinese models, is that they are not reliable. And that's the most frustrating part, and why I personally don't use the Chinese models, is that yes, they're cheap, okay? They're very cheap. They cost 30 to 60 cents per million on the input, but there's a reason they're that cheap. And look at this. This doesn't even have any content. And how long did this spend working? I think it spent maybe like 20 minutes creating this Remotion video, and it's just created a blank screen. So you guys need to see this and need to know that this is what's happening. These Chinese models are just not reliable. So it said that there were 7 scenes, but now I'm going to have to do a follow-up and basically say, hey, none of this rendered. The only section of the Remotion video that rendered the text was the first part. Would you do a review of this and figure out why this is the case and fix it and regenerate the video? So let's try it again. But what you guys are seeing is that, hey, we had to have a follow-up prompt for the first-person shooter game because of a glitch that made it like really hard to play. And now it's the same thing with the Remotion video. And it's not like this thing is operating at Composer 2.5 speeds, okay? This is running quite slow. Now, it does look like the BridgeVoice updates are coming in. You guys can see that this one spent 80,000 tokens. This one here as well, that's going to create the sound effects. It looks like this one's almost done on its to-dos, so we'll see how well it's able to do on real tasks. But based off of what we've seen so far, I don't know what to expect. Okay, guys, so those agents did now finish. You can see the BridgeVoice widget pill right here, and there is a new setting, auto hide widget when not recording. So if I toggle this on, there we go, it does disappear. But now let's toggle it back off. And one thing that you guys are gonna notice is that it doesn't reappear. The widget pill does not reappear. I can toggle it on, toggle it off, and it doesn't reappear when I toggle it off. That is a bug, okay? And I have to then toggle this on and toggle this off for it to show again. So something about it showing its state for that variable is not properly working. So that's a bug right off of the bat, and we haven't even tested the push to talk yet. So let's turn this on and get a fresh start, and then let's test this sound effect as well. Oh, wow. All right, so this that we just built with MINIMAX has broken the push to talk functionality. As you guys can see here, let's change it to my mouse button. Hello, hello, hello. I'm pushing my mouse button and the push to talk is not activating. So it actually looks like MINIMAX M3 broke the push to talk functionality that we were building. And note that we weren't making any changes to the push to talk functionality. We were just making it so that there was a sound effect that plays when we click push to talk. And as you guys can see, I'm clicking and it's not doing anything. So yeah, that is not good. I just clicked it manually, but yeah, that is not good. So MINIMAX M3, we're seeing the same patterns that we continue to see with other Chinese models. It is breaking things. It's breaking functionality. And even though it says that this is better than GPT 5.5, GPT 5.5 doesn't break a bunch of functionality like this. It doesn't cause bugs. It doesn't, miss out on very important details like, oh, what happens when you turn off the widget? Should it show the widget pill again? Yes, it should. So the fact that MINIMAX M3 is missing this detail here is a sign to me that its attention to detail is not very good, and that if you use this model, you will generate bugs and you will break existing functionality in real production code bases. That Remotion video, by the way, I did re-render it, and it does look like MINIMAX M3 was able to figure out what was causing the text to not render. So here's what that video looks like now. But this video, first of all, it's totally subpar. I don't think that this is very good. And second of all, it took 2 shots, which you should not be taking 2 shots to render a Remotion video correctly. First of all, Opus 4.8 or any other model would be able to do this on the first try, and this is not even good in the first place. Now, I do want to say one thing, and that's that a lot of people that are going to use MINIMAX, they know it's not going to be the best model. And what people are looking at more so when it comes to MINIMAX is they're looking at the price. And yes, the price is a factor. And if you have a budget, then that is a factor. And that's something that you're going to compare low budget models like Kimi K2.6 or MINIMAX M3 or GLM 5.1. And you're going to say, hey, which one is the best? But I have a hard time with this because I do use Claude Opus 4.8. Once you have a Claude Max plan, you pretty much have unlimited use unless you're launching like Ultra Code with a bunch of sub-agents to the best frontier model in the world. GPT 5.5 is good as well. I use GPT 5.5. MINIMAX M3 is not yet in artificial analysis, but if you look at MINIMAX M2.7, which is right here, you can see that this is way off of the frontier. Here's MINIMAX M2.7, and all the way over here is GPT 5.5. Here's Opus 4.8. So what a lot of people are doing is it's like they're not looking at MINIMAX M3 for, hey, does this beat Opus 4.8? Is this the new best model in the world? They're more so looking at it from the cost perspective. And I think that that is the biggest strength of MINIMAX M3. If you look at this chart here, this is my OpenRouter usage from this morning. And as you can see, I spent $4.09 this morning putting this model through all of BridgeBench, which some of the benchmarks like the BSBench and the security bench have hundreds of tasks. And this also includes the work that I did in BridgeSpace, which you guys saw me doing in this video. This model is incredibly affordable, and you have to know that this model is better than, for example, the Soda model just 9 months ago. But look at this. Let's take a look at BridgeBench, and let's take a look at the UI benchmark. Here is the result from the lava lamp test for MINIMAX M3. I don't think that it does a great job. I don't know what's going on up here at the top, but this is just kind of a subpar result to be expected. And one more important factor to highlight here is that it literally failed to correctly produce 8 out of 12 of these UI designs. So it failed on 8 out of 12. So not really good there. If you guys look at the BS benchmark, it actually does decent on this benchmark. It does number 10. That actually is better than Opus 4.7 performed on this benchmark. Now, with the release of Opus 4.8, Claude, they did fix this issue. Obviously, Opus 4.7, as you guys know, was a big miss. People did not like that model. So Opus 4.8 now is at the top of this leaderboard, but MINIMAX M3 not doing too bad on this benchmark. Hallucination, same thing there. It's actually like kind of middle of the pack here. It beats GPT 5.5. Now, GPT models are super prone to hallucination. That's why I personally don't use that as my go-to, but it doesn't perform too bad on the hallucination benchmark. If you go to the refactoring benchmark, it does not do a good job on the refactoring benchmark. It's literally all the way down here at the bottom, and you can see that this is actually an issue that MINIMAX models have. If you look at MINIMAX here, you can see that MINIMAX M2.7 performed poorly on this benchmark, MINIMAX M2.5, and MINIMAX M3, they all are down there at the bottom. So we're not really seeing that big of an improvement on these MINIMAX models. They're literally the worst models for refactoring. If you look at the debugging benchmark, let's see how it performed here. It kind of scored middle of the pack here, number 14. So kind of a mid model, but remember guys, what we're looking for with MINIMAX M3 is we're not looking for a model that's going to be incredible in capability. Most people that are going to use this are more interested in the cost. Now, the cost benchmark is new for BridgeBench, so we don't have all the models to compare, but you can see here that MINIMAX M3 is one of the most affordable models. You have DeepSeek V4 in there. We probably should add Kimi K2.6 and GLM 5.1, but out of all of the Chinese models at this point, MINIMAX is the cheapest. So now time for the big question, does MINIMAX M3 get the BridgeMine stamp of approval? And it does not. You guys are not going to see me use MINIMAX M3 in my real world production workflow for vibe coding or my Hermes agents. I think that this model is way off the frontier, and I know it comes at a very cheap price, but you get what you pay for. This model is just not good, and I know it's cheap, but there are models that are a little bit more expensive that are better than MINIMAX M3. I think that this is just too lacking in some very key areas. The thing that I'm interested in still is this video modality. We didn't get to see that work inside of OpenCode, but that's one thing that is different about this model that I think it's important to pay close attention to, because that's a modality for most frontier models that's just missing. Opus does not have video modality. GPT 5.5 doesn't have a video modality. So that's really interesting. We'll see how that works in the future, but I think that MINIMAX M3 is not that much of an improvement from MINIMAX M2.7. They said that it was like way faster, but if you look at the throughput right now I know they just launched, but this is running at 23 tokens per second right now on OpenRouter, and it has a latency of 3.43 seconds. That's just too slow. So it's slow, it's cheap, it doesn't produce good output, it takes multiple shots just to get something working, and the thing that it gets working is kind of garbage. So I'm not going to use it. You guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know what you guys think. But at the end of the day, this is not meant to compete with any frontier models. It's more so trying to compete at the lower level, where they're now creating a model that is very affordable, that does not have the same capabilities, but maybe that people can start to use more. But I just think it's way too off the frontier. Like if I was going to use this in a Hermes agent, it would be doing a terrible job. I hook my Hermes agent up to my GPT plan, and I don't have to worry about usage. So why would I not tap into GPT 5.5 instead of this model, which is just way off? So that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you guys liked the video, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to BridgeMind, and joined the BridgeMind Discord community, the home of the vibe coding movement. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the future.